of the importance of declaring a fact that the lives of Black matter. Black lives matter. The only reason why we've gotten to this place is because of the rash of individual acts, whether it was vigilantes with Trayvon Martin, or law enforcement who simply disregard the life of Black, whether it's jury nullifications of convicting those involved, Zimmerman, or the refusal of district attorneys step up and value a Black life, as we have seen with the Ahmaud Arbery case, the Breonna Taylor case, where those officers still have not been brought to justice.
Hey, Derek, take a look, if you can, at the screen. And for all of you, we're looking live at what's happening in Tulsa right now. You see increasing tension, shall we describe it. Two officers have come into that picture. There you see somebody who is protesting Black Lives Matter, saying, "I can't breathe," on behalf of Black Lives Matter, sitting down very quietly there in the middle of the street, although she's clearly being asked some questions. The man in gray, if I read his card lanyard thing correctly, that says that he's part of the Trump rally. It looks like this woman is beginning to pray. You have two police officers that are circling quite closely, certainly not keeping 6-foot distance in these COVID times, that's for sure. Let's listen to some of the exchange.
Right to be here.
I don't know if you have a right to be here, but it's a private event. They can ask you to leave, ma'am. So it's a private event, so they can ask whoever they want to leave to leave.
I'm not leaving.
Are you going to make this force you out?
Yes. Yes.
This woman... This woman, Derek, is saying that she's got a right to be there.
Yeah, man, I do everything right. Brother, I completely agree.
Which, of course, she does. And clearly this has caught the attention of the news media. And you can see that she has placed herself right in front of the area through which anybody attending this Trump rally tonight has to walk to get their face masks, hand sanitizers. We're told we haven't seen evidence of temperatures being taken yet. Perhaps that happens a bit closer to rally time and closer to the actual arena itself. But it would look as if that police officer is calling a superior, calling somebody to say, this is the situation. Take a listen.
But there's plenty of room outside.
This is my country. This is my city. I have tickets for this event.
Everybody that comes
I have clothes on. I'm protected.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the problem?
This is a private event. Once we file for permits, this is a private event. This is our area.
It's part of my event. I'm
And
here.
when we ask you to leave, it's like asking somebody to leave your own personal private property. Same deal.
I've been invited and I have a ticket.
Yeah, but my job with the campaign is to officially uninvite you and ask you to leave.
So Derek, I know you're watching this along with me. We just heard her say that she has tickets to this event, so she has every right to be here. She would have a right to be there regardless of whether or not she had tickets. But what do you think when you see something like this, someone very boldly standing up to authority there and just saying, look, I'm just trying to sit here and make my statement with my T-shirt and say to folks, you cannot remove me?
You know, I hope Congressman John Lewis is watching this. This is called getting in good trouble. This is in the legacy of Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, and so many others who are using the power of their agency to have peaceful protests in the midst of unjust situations. As you see her, she is an admitted guest of the event. She is peacefully sitting and praying. She's properly clothed with a mask on. One of the law enforcement officers, he doesn't even have a mask on. I hope Congressman Lewis is watching this. This is consistent with getting in good trouble. She is getting in good trouble. And what we're seeing now is the campaign not wanting to have a counter-narrative, a counter-image that address the unjust realities that we've seen across this country. As she sit there and say, I cannot breathe, that is the message that so many African Americans, particularly African American men, have been saying for decades. We cannot breathe under a structural system that's both oppressive and refuse us to exist in a just society that provides equal protection under the law.
And as you look at that Trump, you look at this Trump campaign worker, Derek, who's specifically trying to place himself between her and some sort of a news or media crew that are trying to get her opinion. You see, he went right there to try to block their ability to get her either on camera or appropriately with a microphone. You know, something like this, Derek, good trouble, yes. Abiding by all the rules, yes. But do you worry that this could potentially not end well for her, for this demonstrator?
Well, unfortunately, I do. I mean, you have individuals who align themselves with a perspective. They say they want freedom of speech. They say they want freedom of expression. She's demonstrating that, but they would deny her because the speech that she's speaking, they disagree with. She is in her right. It's a private event, but she has have done everything necessary to be an invited guest. She has a ticket. She's there. And there is nothing wrong with her sitting there. The way she's sitting there, she's not disturbing anyone. They may dislike her shirt. They may not want her to be interviewed. But if those individuals say that they value the First Amendment and the Second Amendment, she's practicing her First Amendment right, which is a supreme amendment in this country, the freedom of speech.
Just watching that Tulsa police officer approaching her, certainly within the 6 feet distance, but appropriately masking himself while speaking with her. That is something we have to note that is positive. Let's see if we can listen to what he's saying.
My upper chain of command that if you refuse to leave, we have to arrest you for trespassing, and I really would rather not do that. I'd rather, if you like that?
I'm staying here.
All right, where's my gray shirt guy? Can you get him over here?
Okay, Derek, he has just said that she is going to be arrested for trespassing, that they have the right to do so. He did very politely say, I don't want to have to do that. She said, I'm not moving. Does this still fall, in your mind, under the auspices of good trouble?
Absolutely. She is a ticketed guest to the event. She's not trespassing. She complied with the requirement. She received a ticket. She entered with her ticket, and she's sitting there. She's not disturbing anyone. She's sitting there, and they approached her. Good trouble.
Morgan Chesky has been with us. I presume he's very close to this camera because it is his camera right now. Morgan, thanks for joining us. I think the back of you there. Morgan, what's going on? What are you able to hear that we may not have been able to pick up so clearly?
Somebody has to do this.
Yeah, I'm worried.
Morgan Chesky, can you hear me? I guess he's not able to hear me, although I think I saw the back of Morgan's head taking a photo there. Maybe he's trying to speak with her. Let's take a listen, guys.
I'm just letting you know what I have to do based on they've asked you to leave, so
I have a ticket.
it doesn't mean you're so I'm just trying to, I know you're supposed to so we're going to put hands on you. We're going to gently, but I don't want to hurt you at all. The last thing I want to do is get hurt.
No. I refuse for you to.
Yeah, I'm here.
We're going to. I don't want to hurt your phone, bro. You can hold your phone.
Hey, Morgan, I understand that you're now hooked up with us. Tell me what just transpired. Has he said that he's going to have to put cuffs on her? What did we just miss there? I was trying to strain as I listened.
Yeah, Alex, if you can hear me right now, we are just a few feet away from this, and a Tulsa police officer has instructed this woman that if she won't comply, they will remove her for trespassing, and that's what they're doing right now. She said they're removing her from the scene, Alex, and we're right behind Tulsa police here. We're just going to keep moving along with them. This woman told police just minutes ago, Alex, that she had a ticket.
Yeah, so how's that
and
trespassing?
then the officer said, just because you have a ticket. That's what we're trying to figure out right now, Alex.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, you're
They're
under arrest.
arresting me. They're arresting
And they're placing.
me.
It appears they're placing her under arrest right now, Alex.
I've done nothing. I have tickets to this event.
Hanging in there,
I'm
trying to
being
listen to what she's
arrested.
saying. Bear with me.
No, I'm not arrested. I'm not doing
So, hey, Morgan,
anything.
let me check where she was sitting. Was she in any way impeding access to the event?
Ow! Ow! No, they hurt.
Alex,
They
from our vantage
hurt.
point, it did not appear that she was
Stop
impeding
this.
access.
Stop this.
She was wearing an I Can't Breathe shirt. We know she was pulled from the crowd as they began to enter this venue. We're going to keep walking down the sidewalk here, away from the main entrance point. We have several Tulsa police officers. We know that handcuffs have been placed on the woman right now. I'm just behind them. And they ask her beforehand, ma'am, we don't want to take you out by force. However, if you don't comply with us, we're going to have to remove you from this setting right now. And so, ma'am, if you can hear me, can you tell me what officers told you that you did wrong?
I was trespassing and breaking the law. And they're arresting me. I've never been arrested before in my life.
So they told you that you were trespassing and breaking the
Yes,
law.
and I have a ticket.
What did you come here today to do, ma'am? You had a ticket, right?
Yes. Yes.
And what? Were you coming here to protest the president's arrival? Or were you coming to attend the rally? Tell me why.
Put on my mask, please.
Stay with me, Alex. We're just walking with Tulsa police officers right now.
Are you from an organized group?
No.
So why did you come today?
Extra 987, where's my
Because
transport?
of this.
Pardon?
Because of this.
Your
Because
shirt?
of what's happening.
Hey, guys, we can swing back around.
Look at me.
I can't breathe.
Yeah, they're arresting me for this. They're saying I trespassed.
Who's got that girl?
So, Alex, I don't know if you could hear, but the woman just said that they're saying she was trespassing because she had an I Can't Breathe shirt on. She said that was the main reason that she came out here today. We're walking around the barrier here. Stay with me here. We're now about 2.5 blocks away from the main entrance. It appears that Tulsa police is loading her into a cruiser here.
What's your name? My name is Sheila Buck. I'm a citizen of the United States.
Sheila, where do you live?
Oklahoma. Live here at 420 South. Ow.
Sheila, do you live in Tulsa?
I live in Tulsa.
So Sheila Buck, Alex, is that woman's name.
Yeah.
She's being loaded into the front seat of a Tulsa cruiser for trespassing here at the president's rally.
Hey, Morgan, let me ask you one more question. I mean, I'm just trying to... Or no, you go ahead.
No. Stand by. So it appears, we're now behind the barriers. They're loading Miss Buck into this cruiser. You heard her say that she is a Tulsa resident.
Right.
And that she came out here today to protest wearing that I Can't Breathe shirt. So that was a very fluid situation here. We do know that she was removed from the crowd initially. She sat down on the pavement outside that entrance here, and that's where officers began to have a dialogue with her, at which point one of the Tulsa policemen said, ma'am, you're being removed from this event for trespassing. You can either stand up on your own and we can walk you outside, or we'll have to take you by force. And that's what we all just witnessed play out right now. This is the first person that we've seen removed from this crowd, upwards of what we're expecting, about 100,000 people. And we're going to follow up. But again, Sheila Buck says that she came here wearing an I Can't Breathe shirt, and then that's kind of what started this arrest that we watched play out in real time. Alex?
But, all right, I just want to double check, and I think I'm answering my own question because I now see those sawhorses there behind you. But there was no way that she was
Alex,
blocking... Morgan, was she blocking foot traffic? Was she blocking car access? Or, I mean, I can't figure out why she would be trespassing if she has a ticket and is there to attend the rally like anybody
Alex,
else.
I apologize. Can't hear you right now, but we're going to work on that.
Okay. You know what, Morgan, you've done a great job bringing that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's go to Derek Johnson again with the NAACP president and CEO of that. You see this woman, a Tulsa citizen, identified herself as not only a resident of Tulsa, but a United States citizen being carted away for, as you said, good trouble. As we wrap up our conversation with this extraordinary interlude here, what's your takeaway from this, Derek?
You look at that scene, you have someone who's peacefully demonstrating. She had the right to be in the location. There was no apparent disruption or interference with anyone's ability to participate in the event. She's arrested. But what's striking to me now is the Tulsa police put her in the front seat. Just last week, we seen a teenage boy in Tulsa walking in the street because there are no sidewalks. The grass is overgrown. The police arrest him for jaywalking when there are no streets there are no sidewalks. They handcuffed him and they put him in the back seat. This exemplified the problem with law enforcement today. These law enforcement officers could have simply said to the Trump campaign team, she's not trespassing. If she has a ticket, she has a right to be here. You may not like what's on her shirt. You may not like the fact that she's sitting down, but she's not trespassing. She's not breaking a law. And these police officers who are poorly trained or aligned with a philosophy enforced a rule that doesn't exist. She should have never been taken out of there. This is good trouble, but this is also the danger that we're living in today. We must end this administration reign of terror against communities across this country.
Derek Johnson, President and CEO of the NAACP. Derek, thank you so much. Thank you for extending your time to stay with us through this particular event. Much appreciated. Joining right now, California Congressman Ted Lieu, a Democratic member of the House Judiciary and Foreign Affairs Committees. Well, we are a little bit late getting to you, my friend, because we had to get through this. What were you thinking as you watched this play out in Tulsa?
Thank you, Alex, for your question. My first thought is she was not doing anything wrong. She simply wore a shirt that said, "I can't breathe." And for that reason, they took her out of the line. You know, you hear Republicans talk about free speech all the time until they see speech they don't like. She was not disrupting anyone, and they should not have removed her.
Did you hear anything, Congressman, that made you think that the police acted in any way that was inappropriate other than removing her? And this is not this is a big other. She's being removed for trespassing, and yet she has a ticket and the like. But what I was able to hear on a positive note, at least I believe there was respect shown to this woman who was clearly protesting, and they had their masks on. Did you pick up anything that would change that interpretation?
I did not. Of course, there were also multiple TV cameras filming this incident. So that's one reason we need to have body cams on all police officers. When they know they're being filmed, you're going to tend to get better behavior.
When you consider that this president, as Derek Johnson, my previous guest, had just said, he came to Tulsa because he wanted to get to a rally where he could practice his speech someplace that was safe. How surprised are you that he chose Tulsa, given the fact that we have the Greenwood section noting 99 years going on a century later of those horrific race annihilation there, of so many, 300 people dead, 8,000 people displaced because of the actions there. Did it have to be Tulsa?
No, and it shows that this administration still doesn't get it. For example, we saw that Vice President Mike Pence couldn't even say the words Black Lives Matter. Now, of course, all lives matter, but the reason that we say Black Lives Matter is because the system undervalues Black lives. You've had the systematic murder of Black Americans by our government. That's why we've had millions of protesters and demonstrators. And for the vice president to not understand that, for the president to not be able to say those words, shows you where they're coming from. And you're right that this is a politically safe place for the president, but it is totally not safe for people who are participating because many of them are not social distancing, they're not wearing masks, and they're indoors. This is going to be one big super spreader event for COVID-19. And it is really disappointing the president chose to have a rally in the middle of a pandemic.
And, you know, to that point, sir, with the campaign having required everybody who attends, who goes inside that arena, some 19,000 expected inside, they have to sign disclaimers saying, if we get sick with COVID, we will not bring suit against either this president or this administration. I mean, what does it say to you that they still plow ahead in this particular time? They could have changed it to an outdoor rally. That at least would have helped by some measure, right?
Absolutely. We know that the places where there's highest transmission of coronavirus are indoor places where people are talking and people are next to each other for long periods of time. That is exactly this rally. And not only do we have no social distancing, we have a lot of people who are intentionally not wearing masks. And what we're going to see from this is people getting sick and potentially dying because of this rally. And the president of the United States just doesn't care.
Yeah. Let me ask you a little bit about the John Bolton book. As you know, just an hour and change ago, the Justice Department lost its bid to try to have this book stopped in its tracks, although I say that with air quotes simply because that book has been out there. We here at NBC News have copies of the book. There are multiple reporters that have written about the book. Excerpts have been released, but logistically speaking, it is on its way to being shipped to bookstores and up for public release and sale on Tuesday. But the fact that the federal judge declined to order this thing shut down, try to stop it in its tracks. What does that say to you, and how much have you heard about this book that you think is potentially damning in terms of what John Bolton witnessed during his time with the administration?
So two thoughts. First, the First Amendment is still alive and well. I am pleased that the judge has not restricted this book. And second, the excerpts from John Bolton's book are damning. It shows that Donald Trump puts his own interests above those of America. For him to basically plead with the Chinese president to help re-elect him, that is outrageous. That is traitorous kind of behavior. And the American people have a choice this November. Do they want someone that's going to use foreign countries to assist them? Or do you want someone who's going to put America first?
So that point that you make right there, the book, Bolton is blaming Democrats for what he calls impeachment malpractice because Democrats only focused on Ukraine. Part of what he writes is, had the House not focused solely on Ukraine, then there might have been a greater chance to persuade others that high crimes and misdemeanors had been perpetrated. What do you say to that? That front I'd love you to think about. And also, had he been called up to testify and done so, might there have been a different outcome in the end?
Well, so guess what? We didn't know about that China incident. And you know who knew about it? John Bolton. And he intentionally chose not to come to the House and provide what he knew to the American people at the time. He wanted to have a book and make money off of it. That is despicable. But it doesn't mean that his book is false or not true. In fact, because the administration tried so hard to stop his publication, it tells me that they're scared of what's in this book and that it is true. Because if it's classified, then it has to be true.
And that was the argument that the DOJ was making, that because this book contained classified information, that it should be stopped in its track. And yet when you look at the president's Twitter feed, right, he said that it's just a bunch of lies. How can both be true?
They cannot, and Donald Trump is lying again. What's in this book, if their assertion is that he shouldn't publish it because it's classified, then in fact it is true. So for example, if I told you I had a classified meeting yesterday with people from Mars, that wouldn't be classified because it's not true. It will only be classified if I said something that was true and it was classified.
Representative Ted Lieu, it's good to see you as always. Thank you so much for taking the time for us here on Weekends with Alex Witt. Have a good one.